Good morning.
Why, in your view, do we need this bill?
Well, I voted for same-sex marriage and I've been on the record in support of same-sex marriage for many years, but I also believe that religious liberty, freedom of conscience and freedom of speech are important rights. We're about to find out in the survey exactly how many people voted one way or the other, but I suspect 30 to 40% of Australians will vote no. Now, I don't think their votes should mean that we shouldn't have same-sex marriage in this country, but I do think that their freedoms should be protected, and I think my bill is a bill that best does that.
Why shouldn't, this is the view of colleagues, moderate colleagues like Trent Zimmerman, the Lower House Liberal MP, why shouldn't religious freedom be kept separate to same-sex marriage? They are separate issues, he argues.
Well, I think they're closely related. I think if we change the law to allow same-sex couples to marry and we don't at the same time make provisions for religious freedom, then the religious freedom and freedom of conscience and freedom of speech of some people could suffer, and I don't want to see that happen.
Where does this bill stand at the moment? How soon would you like to introduce it to Parliament?
Well, I'm open-minded about that. I've put it out today for discussion and to stimulate debate, and I'm looking forward to hearing the feedback of my colleagues. I want to work closely with my colleague Dean Smith, who's put forward a different bill, and I hope that together we can find a shared path forward about how these bills are introduced, how they're debated.
You mentioned Dean Smith, one of the men behind a bill that would legislate same-sex marriage if that vote succeeded on Wednesday. Why not simply support his bill?
Because I think that Dean Smith's bill, although it's better than many other bills that have been proposed, for my liking does not go sufficiently far in protecting religious liberty, freedom of speech or freedom of conscience. So, for example, Dean Smith's bill strongly protects the religious freedom of priests and imams and rabbis, but it doesn't protect the religious freedom of their congregants. It doesn't protect their freedom once they're outside of a church, and I think that because religious freedom is a universal human right that we all have an equal right to, it should be protected for everyone.
OK, now there's the Safe Schools clause in your bill. Tell us what you're hoping to achieve from that.
Well, one of the rights that parents have under international law, including in the Declaration of Rights of the Child, is that they should be able to control the moral and religious education of their children. Unfortunately, Safe Schools conflicts very strongly with the values of many parents, and at the moment it's not clear what their legal rights are to allow their children to opt out of those classes if they're against their values. So this bill would clarify that a parent has a right to choose for their child to be opted out of those sorts of classes.